Hello music lovers, welcome back to the Woodshed. It's been super busy with touring and Grand Ole Opries and various different big gigs, and it's nice to be making some content for you. This has been an interesting couple of weeks as I have just bought my first Les Paul. Here it is. I've got the truss rod cover off. I just adjusted the neck, and honestly I was just a little too lazy to put it back on, so it'll be off for the video. But yes, it does come with a truss rod cover. I just have it off. With that said, let's dig into it, and I'll tell you about the experience of getting my first Les Paul. Okay, so me and a Les Paul is an interesting relationship. I've obviously used them in studios for years. I've used other people's, used the studios or the producers or whatever. Les Pauls have a certain sound. We all know it. I'm not going to be that guy that's going to talk to you like you've never heard a Les Paul before. What's interesting is my relationship with the Les Paul. Every time in my career that I would have the money to get a really great Les Paul, I could never find the one that I liked. Every time I could find the one I liked, I never had enough money to get one. And I've always loved this color right here, which is the Lemon Burst. It's my favorite color on the old LP. And this is a Murphy. It's a Murphy Lab. We'll get into those details and specs in a bit. But because of this weird relationship, I named this guitar Eleanor. If you've ever seen Gone in 60 Seconds, the Mustang GT500 in the movie that he can't steal. For whatever reason, something always goes wrong. The name of the car was Eleanor. So I thought it was a very fitting name for the Les Paul. Here I have been playing professionally for 20 years, feels like my entire life. And I started playing professionally when I was 17. And man, it's crazy because I thought that I would have one of these years ago. But due to the circumstances of never having the money to get one, and then when I had the money to get one, I could never find the one I liked. And you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? For me, and my age group, some of you guys will know, Gibson experienced a pretty dark time. I'm not hanging anybody under the bus, but the last thing I want on the top of my guitar is a bunch of freaking robot tuners. Like that, the robot tuner fiasco, you guys remember that? It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't know who approved that, but hey man, if you're watching this video, didn't pan out so well. The other thing that I was big on with Les Paul is the neck tenon. The neck tenon length is a specific thing that I'm into with the traditional kind of thing. I don't think it's bad or good. I think they sound different. I happen to like the more traditional 58, 59, old school kind of Les Pauls. For those of you that know, those guitars can be $300,000, $400,000 really easy, and I'm not spending that much money on a guitar. I don't have that kind of disposable income. However, fast forward to this thing. This is the Murphy Lab Les Paul. Murphy is for Tom Murphy, and they build replicas of vintage guitars. Like this has got the light aging. I don't know how much you can tell from this shot, but there's a little bit of wear on it. It's not a lot. It just looks kind of played, which is cool. They send it with a different plate that's like the traditional black, but I like this. I actually like that metal coin look. That's really cool. It tells the world that it's not so pretentious to think that you wouldn't know the difference, right? It tells the world, hey man, I'm a new guitar, but I'm an old soul. This is the 58. I wanted the bit thicker neck. I don't find this too thick. I play a lot of acoustic instruments. They have big necks. This still feels pretty good. I actually like the sustain and the tone of this guitar. This comes in at about 9 pounds or so. Through Sweetwater. If you go to their website, Sweetwater has a scenario where if you're going to be buying a guitar and the color, for instance, Lemon Burst was a must for me. They had 4 of these on the website. And you can look at all the different specs, which was really cool. I applaud Sweetwater for their work and how they set that up. They give you the specs, and by that I mean down to the weights. Like some were like 8 pounds and 9 ounces. Some were like 9 pounds and 1 ounce. They had like 4 in this color. And this one had just a little bit of figuring in the top, but when it turns a certain way, it like looks really normal. You can kind of tell how like the flame kind of appears and disappears. I don't like it when Les Pauls, this is for me. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm using the words I don't like. This is something we're going to try to do in the guitar community. We're not going to do this sucks, that sucks. We're going to start using the words I don't like. So for me personally, I don't like it when they look crazy. Like you guys have seen some of my Sirs, and there's a PRS hanging back there behind me. It's really sick. They have really sick, crazy tops, like just flame everywhere. That's cool for that. On a Les Paul, I like it to be a little more like the working man's guitar, Like my favorite Les Paul players are probably your favorite Les Paul players, right? Talking Slashes, Billy Gibbonses, Gary Moore's. I put Joe Bonamassa in there. I know there's going to be controversy. Joe Bonamassa's not this. Just chill. Joe can wear it out. He could straight up play circles around people. I like Joe's playing. He likes the Eric Johnson thing. I too like the Eric Johnson thing. So a lot of my favorite Les Paul players are all over different eras, different genres. I love Neil Schon playing a Les Paul. That's one of my favorite things. The mighty Eddie Van Halen. There's a photo or two of him doing some work on a Les Paul. For me personally, Billy Gibbons is one of my all-time favorite players. I can't sound like him. You can't sound like him. Nobody sounds like him. He's the coolest guy in the room. He's got the tone. He's got the touch. He's got the chops. He's one of my favorites. Obviously people used to say Clapton. The comments will be full of people's favorite Les Paul players, right? These are just guys that I like. And music that I like, right? And Skynyrd, I love. All of it. All of the guys that you're thinking about, I love. And it's often been the case that I was in the studio and working and using the studio's Les Pauls, whether that be in Nashville or here in East Tennessee. There's some really great rock studios here in town, Lakeside Studios here in town. I've done a lot of sessions over there. And the owner owns several nice Les Pauls, and I would just use those. So it never became a thing. It was time in my life to make the jump. So let's talk about this thing a little bit. Again, Murphy Lab. There's no truss rod cover on it because I wanted to adjust the neck and the setup just a sniff. For me, in standard, I use 10 to 46 on a Les Paul. It feels great. That is perfect for me. And I adjust string tensions across the board to try to get the feeling of 10s on a Les Paul. Now, when I play Fender scale length, you see me playing the Sirs. I've got a Tom Anderson. Like the Fender scale length, my signature model Sirs, because it's 6 on a side and the E string goes the farthest. I've gotten to where I feel like a 9 to 46 feels really good on a telly, on a Fender scale length. Now, obviously, if I'm going to do some blues stuff or if I'm going to drop tune, I'm going to use a heavier gauge, but it's 9 to 46 feels really close on a telly style guitar that the 10 to 46 feels like on a Les Paul. So the other thing, this one is a 9-pounder. I don't find it too heavy. I find like it's got a really good weight. These pickups are whatever come in it. Again, I'm not a spec. I don't go down too far on the rabbit hole because I want to get to play in the guitar. The playing is the most important. However, this is a really great pickup. Apparently, it's supposed to be what they put them in 58. And the frets are smaller and narrower, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable. This still feels like a girthy fret. I have no problems going for big, huge bends. It feels great. I've been around Joe. He's a friend of mine. I played a lot of his 58s, 59s, whatever, crazy expensive guitars. And this one has the feeling of those guitars. Now, don't misquote me and get to arguing and bickering and saying that Andy said the new Murphy Les Paul is just like playing Joe Bonamonte's Burst. That's not what I'm saying. So don't put words in my mouth. What I am saying is this gives me the vibe. It gives me the good stuff. These guitars start at 7K. They get on up to about 10K. So it's not a cheap instrument. However, it's not. Just be thankful it's not as expensive as a violin or a pre-war Martin or a Lloyd Loar mandolin, right? So just be glad you're not in that world. However, great feeling guitar, great sounding guitar. I thought it'd be cool to tell you these stories. I'm not going to go crazy on the demo stuff. I know you guys want to hear the guitar. I'm just going to switch cameras and set up and plug in direct. The signal chain will be my little pedal board that is to my right. This is like my mini board that I've been doing the Gary LaVox / pseudo post flats gigs with. And I'm going into a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. I like this amp. It's really killer. I still got my bellows, and don't get in there and saying Andy's switching. This is just plugged up because I'm working on my new album, and I happen to be tracking a part with this amplifier. So it's just out of shot. It's a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. I'm going into a Universal Audio Aux, one of my favorite cabinet settings that I've made. And the pedals are really simple. On the clean channel, I'm using a Sir Woodshed compressor, which is good. And then I go to a little light drive, which is like a Tube Screamer clone. And then because I used in the intro the kind of vanilla rock tone, which is a Pantheon. And then the last tone you'll hear is the A-Wood Gearbox. So the high gain stuff is coming from Gearbox. And that's what you got. Again, here's the back of the instrument. You know, I'm a single man operation here, so I don't have 40 cameras. We're not going to get all crazy with that. I'll post some pictures. You guys know where to follow me on Instagram if you want to see photos and all that good stuff. Speaking of, we have a fantastic community at Patreon. That's the channel that lets me keep doing this stuff. So go to Patreon, sign up for $5 a month. You get access to over 600 videos. And then for $25 a month, you get those videos plus a weekly live Zoom masterclass. It's the coolest thing that I offer because 4 times a month we get together, we hang out. Even if I'm on the road, I'll turn it on and we'll do it on the road. So you get some behind the scenes action and all that kind of good stuff. And then obviously there's private lessons and things as you scale. So go to patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. Hang out with us. We'll be doing one of those classes, like I said, every week. Now, on to the Les Paul. Let's turn on the stuff. Let's turn on the gear. And let me just hit some licks. Again, this is not meant to be anything other than just where you can hear this guitar and what it sounds like. I flipped through the pickup selections. Good thing about a Les Paul is there's only 3. Bottom, middle, and top. And I like that. That's just bridge, middle, and neck. So I'm not going to over talk all the specs and the dish and what the wiring is. Man, if you want a history lesson, plenty of other YouTube channels that give it to you. I just was really excited to tell you the story about the Les Paul for me, and this is Eleanor, because it's taken me years to get one. So 20 years later, I have my first Les Paul. She's a lemon burst, but she is no lemon. Let's listen to it. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun to make this video. Again, thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure to join us on Tuesdays on the channel for the Vidami live stream. And that's always been a fun thing. I appreciate all you guys chiming in and hanging out there. Again, if you want maybe Axe-Fx patches or some transcriptions, or you want some tablatures to my songs, guitar profiles, all that kind of good stuff is at andywoodmusic.com. Get it to you there, as well as tour schedule and what shows I'm playing. And then on the old Patreon machine, that's how we keep the lights on and the bills paid. So I appreciate your support over there. I'm uploading constantly sneak peeks of my new record. We've got some really great guest players on that thing. Again, there's 600 videos talking about lessons and technique and picking technique, and all that kind of lesson-y type of stuff is on patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. And I appreciate you guys for hanging out. We'll see you on the road real soon.